Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Proverbs 31 Woman. I am so excited to share with you another great lesson. Today, we're going to talk about the Lydia Code. And we know that Lydia, according to the King James Version of the Bible, she was the woman who built wealth with purpose and opened many doors, and primarily for the kingdom. So, we're going to jump right into this lesson on today because it is so exciting to just talk about that journey and how it can show up in your life as well. So, Acts chapter 16, verse 14 says, "And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple, and of the city Thyatira, which worshipped God, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened." Now, I know for many of us in our journey called life, we may have gone through some things and it caused us to, be a little bit more standoffish or put some walls up, some guardrails. Well, Lydia was touched in such a way that it really made a difference. So we can call Miss Lydia the kingdom entrepreneur and the legacy builder, right? Just the same way that many of us are the first at doing some things in our lives and in our family bloodline. So Lydia stands as one of the most powerful yet often overlooked examples of a Proverbs 31 woman in action. She appears briefly in scripture, but her impact was profound. She represents the woman who merges faith, business, influence, and generosity, and demonstrating the wealth itself is not the problem, but rather how it is that she stewarded determines how it came out on the other side, right? The eternal value behind it. So Lydia was a seller of purple, which was not an ordinary occupation. So she basically created a role for herself. She created streams of income where there was none. And so she charted a path that was not uh, traveled, right? So for many of you, I know that you have an idea. You may be sitting on your purpose, you may be sitting on your calling just because it's not popular or because people are not doing it. The reason why you may not have taken off with it as of yet is because it's not a thing. However, you can change that. So purple cloth was a luxury commodity in the ancient world, associated with royalty, influence, and high economic status. Can I just say that's where you're at right now? You have the thing that people are looking for right now. So don't just sit on it. That idea that you've been sitting on that may change the way that your company does business. It could change your bank account. For some, it's going to change your zip code. So I will tell you that you want to go ahead and dig deep and really start to look at the things that you have that you've been sitting on. So this means that Lydia was not merely surviving, she was operating at a high level of business acumen, trade influence, and financial success. And that's the thing, is that we know that this thing is going to be revolutionary that we've been sitting on, that we've been thinking about doing. However, because we don't see it in the marketplace, that's because the marketplace is waiting on you. Can I? That to me is exciting because it allows you now to walk in your own identity, walk in your own purpose. And that is going to be the thing that's going to make the difference for you. So, yet, what made Lydia remarkable was not simply her success, it was her heart posture towards God. So, scripture says in Acts 16:14, whose heart the Lord opened, and she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul. So this reveals something essential about kingdom wealth. The Proverbs 31 woman builds eternally while remaining spiritually open internally, right? That's a lot being said right there, just in that one statement. The Proverbs 31 woman builds externally, right, while remaining spiritually open internally, meaning that you, just because you're building in the marketplace does not mean, or it actually absolutely means I'm so excited this morning. I'm talking real fast. It actually means that you're spiritually open, meaning that your ear is tuned to the mouth of God, meaning that your heart posture is waiting on the Lord to come and see about you, to give you the instructions, to make sure that you're on the plain path, that you're doing the right things. And that relationship, like you can't buy that relationship with the Lord. You can't buy a way into the kingdom, right? You have to live it out. You got to do the work. So the turning point for Lydia was where her wealth meets worship. So Lydia encountered Paul's teaching, and rather than resisting transformation, she embraced it, right? She allowed it to be a part of her, and she allowed spiritual truth to reshape her priorities. And that's where I think some of us really fall slightly short, right? Is that we allow everything else to come before spending that time with the Lord. And throughout this process, I've been stating that we should make sure that we are doing first things first, right? You have to have a morning routine that allows you to set the tone for your day. If you're not praying, if you're not spending time with the Lord, if you're not in your praise and worship, can I just remind you that it's going to be a little bit more of a challenging day because you may not be fully taking the Lord with you, right? And I know that some of us we get up late and we start rushing right into the day, and that should not be our everyday explanation, right? That should not be our everyday excuse. When we are intentional and when we are walking the Proverbs 31 woman path, we're going to make time and it's going to become a priority. Last week, I was talking about my place of worship, my church, Zion Hopewell Full Gospel Family Worship Center is my home base. So when I'm away from home base due to travel, due to speaking, due to consulting, whatever it is that I'm doing, I look forward to getting back to home base. Why? Because that's where my soul is being fed. And I will say with you, whatever wherever your place of worship is, make that a priority. When you get up in the morning, wherever I go, I am taking the word with me. When I walk into rooms, the Lord is going before me. Because why? I've made that a precedence. Some of us go to work, we show up, we log in, we clock in, whatever it is that you do for work, you sometimes you feel the strain of it because why? You struggle setting the precedence, right? You struggle setting the priority. And the reason why I'm spending few minutes here is because I believe somebody needs to hear a fresh reminder, right? Whether you go and you clock in on somebody else's clock or you clock your own, be sure that you're setting the precedence, right? You're the example of what a Proverbs 31 woman looks like. And that means that you will have some more intentionality in setting the focus and the course of your day. That also means that I've heard it said statistically that Mondays, right, was the number one day for heart attacks. And that's because we allow the pressure and the stress to build up. And when we go to show up, it seems like it's a burden. Well, can I just remind you that it is a privilege for you to work, first of all, for somebody else if that's what you do, but it's also a bigger responsibility when you get the opportunity to work for yourself. And that means that you don't have somebody looking over your shoulder to see what you're doing. You don't have to report to somebody else. But can I just say that when you now take priority and you look at the matters for yourself, it's going to allow you to be able to set some things up differently, as well as your honor to the Lord. So, in our lesson on today, where we're talking about Lydia, where wealth meets worship, we find that Lydia encountered Paul's teaching, and rather than resisting transformation, she embraced it. She allowed spiritual truth to reshape her priorities. And immediately after her conversion, she did something extraordinary. In Acts chapter 16, verse 15, it says, "And when she was baptized, she besought us, saying, If ye have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house." She had opened up her home not just for hospitality, but as infrastructure for ministry. Many scholars believe Lydia's house became one of the earliest gathering places for the Christian church in Philippi. This means Lydia did not simply receive the gospel, she funded and facilitated its expansion. Now, that will speak volumes later on, because somebody's going to catch a hold of this. I am not here to tell you to go ahead and open up your home, but I am here to tell you to go ahead and open up that phone app. Go ahead and open up your computer, jump on Zoom or whatever it is that you choose to use, and allow that wisdom and that knowledge that's been imparted into you to go out and help many. That one idea, that one tweak to an existing product, that recipe, whatever it is that you have in your possession is going to help millions. And you've got to know that the thing that you've been holding on to now needs to be released. The time is now, just in case you needed some permission, right? Even at work, when you show up on your job, I know that you're tasked with doing many things. However, you may have the secret sauce on how to improve a process. When that is the case, go ahead and let it be known, right? It I've been told that when you don't take the shots, you'll always miss the baskets, right? So you are the point person in this example. Go ahead and do it. Today is a good day to get started. But let's talk about what how Lydia was made to stand out. Number one, she integrated faith with marketplace excellence. Lydia did not separate her business life from her spiritual life. She demonstrated that prosperity and purpose can coexist when God remains central, meaning that He's at the forefront, right? Number two is that she used influence as stewardship. Her wealth became a vehicle for kingdom growth. She turned private success into public impact. And that's what we need to do as Proverbs 31 women, is that we need to now look at what we have in our storehouses and open up the vault. Right? Many of us have got so many ideas and things that we want to do. Just pick one, go ahead and master that, and then move on to the next thing. Number three is that she recognized opportunity quickly. When spiritual opportunity appeared, she responded immediately without hesitation. And we know that a Proverbs 31 woman understands that discernment requires divisive action or decisive action. How about that? Right? Let's talk about the Lydia's edge, because within the Lydia code, there's kingdom entrepreneurship. And we know that Lydia represents the woman who understands this. First is going to be wealth is a tool for kingdom advancement. If we are not using that which the Lord has given us, our gifts and our talents, to advance the kingdom, then what are we doing? Right? Who are we serving? Whose do, whose gifts and talents do we have? Right? And then the second part to this is that influence is stewardship, and it's not status, right? Many of us think that it's status because we have so many followers, and people are looking to hinge on our every word. Well, no, influence is stewardship. So be careful with what you're sharing and the information that you're putting out there, that it's not just for self gain, right? That it's not just for self purpose. You should want to be a person that whatever it is that you're getting, you're bringing it back to the house of the Lord. And then number three is that provision becomes powerful when it's aligned with purpose. Provision equals purpose, right? So her life shows, Lydia's life shows that financial success can coexist with deep devotion. And when aligned correctly, it becomes a force for generational change. And throughout the lessons I've been teaching, where we talk about the Proverbs 31 alignment, and that's where we compare the Proverbs 31 women attributes, right? Her traits to the Lydia code. So let's talk about four different ones as far as comparison to Proverbs 31 in Lydia. So the Proverbs 31 trait is this: she considereth a field and buyeth it. Well, in Lydia's terms, she had strategic business leadership, right? She opened up her home, which became one of the first models of strategic business. Now, the second part is that strength and honor are her clothing. Well, Miss Lydia had financial confidence with spiritual humility. Sometimes we take that humility to the next level, right? Humility is just saying that she was not pious about her gifting in the things that she was doing. She considered it an honor to do the things that she did. Number three is that she stretched out her hand. A Proverbs 31 trait. First of all, let me preface that is that she stretched out her hand to the needy. Well, Lydia was generous through her hospitality, because remember, she opened up her home. I am not in no ways telling you that you have to open up your home, but I am telling you that you want to open up your purse strings, right? And make sure that the things that you're investing in is going to allow you to be able to reposition yourself for the family. And then also, it's going to help you in ways that it's going to allow you to be able to fund the kingdom, right? And help some other people. Number four is that her lamp goeth out not by night. So the Lydia comparison is that diligence in both faith and work. You will find that nothing works but work, right? But it said diligence here, meaning that she kept on doing it and she was faithful to the cause. Many of us quit a little shy of the end point, right? Or the breakthrough that's available to us. So that means that we got to continually be faithful in the things that we're doing. So let's talk about the legacy activation through all of this, because there were three things that Lydia did that allowed her to stand out among many. And number one is that she redefined wealth as an assignment. That right there, that will go by itself. So you got to ask yourself, how can my resources, my time, my money, my influence advance God's kingdom? When we go and we work on somebody else's job, a lot of times it requires a minimum of 40 hours. For some people, they may work 50 to 60 hours. I'm not sure what that looks like for you, but I know when I was in corporate America and I was salaried and not hourly, I stayed until the job was done. And sometimes that was, 50, sometimes 60 hours per week. But what happens when you do that for yourself? What do you put in the same time that you would give to someone else when you're working on your own project or your own business? You've got to really sit down and look at what's important. And if it is important that you put more time into your business for growth, for infrastructure, for setting up a system. If you don't have a system, can I just say that you're already behind, right? You want to make sure that you are being intentional with your time so that way it can reward you back in dividends, right? Number two is that build spiritual infrastructure. So consider how your home, your business, or your platform can become a place where faith grows and lives or lives. Where it lives in you, first of all, but lives are also transformed. So I'm going to say that again. Consider how your home, business, or platform can become a place where faith grows and lives are transformed. Number three, is stay spiritually teachable. Some of us have gotten to the place where we were like, I'm over that. I'm past that. Let me move on. I done outgrown them and that kind of stuff. Remember, first of all, where you came from. And then secondly, remember that being spiritually teachable, that's really humility. There's a lot of humbleness behind that because I know that first of all, I'd be the first to admit that I don't know everything. With all the degrees, all the classes that I've taken, even the ones that I've taught, I still don't know everything. So I pride myself on first of all investing in me because I love to bet on me, right? But I also love to be the best that there is at my craft. All the other stuff, it doesn't concern me, right? Because I just want to make sure that whatever it is that I am doing, that I am the best of the best at it. But that also means that I slow down long enough to learn what I need to learn, to make sure that I am putting things in the proper order, having a strategy, some structure, the systems, all of that really does make a difference. So, no matter how successful you become, maintain a posture that allows God to open your heart to deeper truth. And that's real humility. But all right, I want to talk about these journal prompts because I know that this is where it all comes together. And the first journal prompt is this: what resources or influence has God entrusted to you that you have not fully aligned with your purpose? I'll wait. I'll give you some time to write that one down because I know some of you, it's going to be a page, maybe 2 pages of things that the Lord has given you. Many of us are multi-gifted and we have lots of talents. We have so many ideas that sometimes it can seem to be a little bit confusing. But I will say underneath that first prompt, ask yourself, what's the thing that people ask me about the most that I find myself talking about? Whatever that is, find that one thing and start there. The other stuff, it's still relevant, but for an appointed time. So you don't have to try to master everything at one time. That became my personal secret sauce when I learned that when I focus on just that one thing, it can make a world of difference. Number two, where might God be inviting you to create space for ministry, mentorship, or community? You want to be sure that you're aligned with whatever that area is, right? Because He's inviting you to create that space. And whether that is ministry, whether that is working with someone or going out in the community, wherever that is, focus on that area and go deep, right? Drive that area home. Number three, how can I steward success without allowing it to become my identity? I'm gonna say that one again. How can I steward success without allowing it to become my identity? At the end of the day, success should not define you. Money and wealth should not define you, but who you are and whose you are defines you. You want to make sure that you're staying humble enough, that you're approachable, that you're teachable, and that your heart is postured right with the relationship that you have with the Lord. You can be the CEO, COO, CTO, CIO, CHO, all of those different C level executives run the business, or you could be the top of the corporation at the company that you work in, or whatever department you may serve, but make sure that your humility still has your feet rooted and grounded on the ground, right? Because some of us can miss it very slightly when we take an attitude of we put humbleness and lock it in the closet, right? We put it in the desk drawer and we'll pick it up later. No, remember who you are and whose you are. And so our affirmation is I am a kingdom builder. Like Lydia, I steward wealth with wisdom, open doors for divine purpose, and use my influence to expand God's work in the earth. Can I say that again? Because that was real good. Even though I said it slow, it hit. I am a kingdom builder. This is our affirmation. Like Lydia, I steward wealth with wisdom, open doors for divine purpose, and use my influence to expand God's work in the earth. If you receive that, go ahead and make that a part of your affirmation list because many of you are positioned to open doors for divine purpose. And many of you have the opportunity to use your influence to expand God's work in the earth. So, our word for this week is going to be stewardship. That means that you are not just managing resources, but you are multiplying purpose. And that's one of the first things that the Lord told us to do was to be fruitful and multiply. Some people took that for, having children, right? Well, what about multiplying your purpose, multiplying your resources, multiplying your gifts and your talents, right? Building on a foundation that's going to allow you to be absolutely amazing. And our scripture meditation for the week is 1 Corinthians 4 and 2. It says, moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. And at the end of the day, you want to be found faithful. Let me say it this way. Maybe you may want to be found faithful, but for me, I definitely want to be found faithful to the call. So I thank you so much for joining in on today. This has definitely been a pleasure. I see that many of you have tuned in and you've been listening. So thank you, Jaiko, for joining in on today. That has been amazing. So continue to have yourself a super amazing day. Just know that your purpose is opening up doors for many right now. So don't sit on the gifts, don't sit on the talents, but go out there and be amazing. Take care.